Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to be talking through revisions that we made from last week's feedback sessions, and we're just going to be talking about how the songs have evolved. So once again, Avery is joining me to talk through how the song has gone this week. So I guess before we get into it, let's kind of like recap what the feedback was. So in the music, we were trying to get some like stuff that matched the metaphor. We were trying to make the metaphor of the ocean more emphasized, especially we thought the image of like erosion and kind of like grinding things down was particularly powerful. So we wanted to see if we could tie that in more ways to make that more consistent. And then we wanted to, I think that was the bulk of it, right? Focus on the metaphor and then create music that fits the theme. Was there anything else that you took away from our feedback session that you wanted to try to do?
I just wanted to make the lyrics less obvious, less simple.
Right.
That was kind of a big thing that I worked on this week. Okay,
perfect. So here we have version 1 and version 2 side by side. So in verse 1, kind of what was your thought process in making these revisions, and do you like where you ended up, or is this kind of closer but still in progress? I'm going to turn it over to you to talk through that.
Yeah. Well, in general, where I ended up, I still want to put a lot of work into the lyrics. But my goal was to take the emotions I had in my original lyrics, which were really obvious. They were like, I'm sad, I'm happy, whatever. And kind of think about that through the metaphor itself. And I kind of came up with all of these kind of water motifs and things like that. And I like the lyrics. I think they don't say the exact things that the original lyrics said because they were so obvious, but they kind of focus more on the feelings, which I liked.
Mm-hmm. And I liked this when I was looking at this earlier. I did really like, so if you read this, flooded by the horizon, sinking to the depths, tears pool in my eyes, drown us till we're dead. It doesn't look super rhymey, but we were talking earlier that we have a lot of good slant rhyme happening here, where we have this hard I and eyes, we have this and id, so we have some recurring vowel sounds that actually tie that together, which is cool.
I actually prefer to do that usually too, because I feel like sometimes when it's too perfectly rhymey, it sounds too like cookie cutter. And I think it also like puts me in a box of where I can go with my lyrics. So I do a lot of slant rhyme.
Yeah, it can be like if a rhyme is like too perfect, it can be a little like Dr. Seuss, which is not bad. Like I like a lot of like, a lot of hip hop really relies on these like rapid fire, perfect rhymes, which can totally fit. But, you got to think of how you're fitting your rhyme to your theme. And slant rhyme definitely gives a little bit of a disjointed feel. And if you're going for that, it can be effective. Cool. What happened in the pre-chorus? You got drown inside my bottomless heart. I like that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I thought of. I'm not sure if I'm sold on that yet. I chose bottomless because I like the idea of like the ocean is bottomless. You can drown. There's like no telling how deep it goes. I'm not really sold if that's the exact word I want to use. But I think it fits because, I don't know, I think it kind of goes into the like scary darkness of someone toxic's heart in that case being like my heart and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think sometimes putting in placeholder words, like something that's close but maybe not perfect, it can feel weird and it can feel like you just want to leave it blank. But I actually would recommend putting in a placeholder. So sometimes if you put in a word and you feel dissatisfied about it, you can really think about why you feel dissatisfied about it. And it gives you a better insight on what the right word might be. And this can happen, I think, when you're writing, you're kind of like rapid fire putting different words into that scenario. But if you do it for a longer period, like put it in there, put it in the draft, sing it a few times, come back to it in a few days, you do build a pretty good insight about it and see if that is the correct word. And I definitely did that in my revision process as well. let's keep going to the chorus. Is this the same?
Yes, I didn't touch the chorus. I do want to kind of touch on the chorus later. I don't know. I mean, I really like it. I just feel like maybe there's more I could do with it, but I haven't touched on it yet.
Okay, cool. What do you have anything specific that you want to do with it, or just
maybe
not yet?
Make it longer. It's really short.
Okay.
But I really like how the melody I'm using with it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going to play around, but maybe it's perfect how it is. So I'm not sure whether or not I'll keep going with it. And for the second verse, we were talking about making the idea of the time, the 2-year-long relationship fitting into the metaphor more. So using the idea of being stuck on a ship. And then we're talking about how it was a sinking ship, but I didn't really want to be I'm on a sinking ship. So I like the idea of the water rising, how it's at your ankles, it's at your hips, it's at your neck, you're going to drown soon. So I played with that idea, and then I kept the idea of bailing us out because I like how it has multiple meanings. It fits both just normal things and also the metaphor.
Great. Perfect. And then I see you got a start on the verse 3. What are you hoping to do with verse 3, or do you have any direction with it?
I really want to play with the idea of erosion, kind of stripping down someone else by being toxic, and how waves do that and make things into sand and stuff. I'm not really sure where I'm going yet. I think maybe focusing on the other person's shell, what I left them as when hurt, but that's what I have now.
Okay, excellent. And I think that goes into kind of the final point that I wanted to hit here, is that we came from a first draft, we got some feedback, now we're at a version 2. It's definitely come a long way. It's looking more like a completed song, but the point of this whole process is that I can't tell you a number of drafts this is going to take before your song is done. But this is something that you repeat over and over again, and every single time it's going to get a little closer. And that can be a really frustrating process, because sometimes you hit this kind of wall of being it's never going to be absolutely perfect. But that's something that is always going to be a struggle. Professional musicians still never feel like everything's perfectly tweaked. At some point you have to find a place where you're going to move on with it. If you have a band, if you have co-writers, if you have friends that write, that can be a great way to move that process forward and get it to an improved place. But I think what I really want people to come away with is that a song is not a finite thing for most of its existence. We think of it as we hear it on the radio, it's carved into stone, that's how the song always was and always will be, but that's not really the truth of it. Songs are very malleable, and they change a lot, especially in the early phases, and that's okay. And we got to accept that, and we got to learn how to use that to our advantage, instead of just being oh, my first draft wasn't magic, throw it in the trash, which I spent a lot of years doing, and I'm hoping I can keep some of you guys from doing that, because I lost a lot of work that was, maybe if I had given them 4 or 5 drafts, they would have been good songs. I think we'll wrap up the video there. So Avery, thank you so much for going through this whole process, from rolling the dice and making an outline to sharing the first draft and getting feedback, and all the way to showing us the second draft. I know that can be a very weird and kind of vulnerable process, but it is helpful. So I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for letting me do this with you. It's been really fun to use the dice method and come up with a song.
Yeah. All right, great. So everybody, this next week is about using the feedback that you got last week and taking your song to a version 2 like you see here. So good luck, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.